Let's talk about the Gary Lineker thing. He's over so many of the front pages. If it's not him, it's Princess Catherine on the front pages. So it's an impartiality storm.
Yeah.
Gary Lineker coming out and saying, I'm not going to be silenced.
Yeah, and I don't think he should be silenced. You know, he obviously is the Match of the Day host, and I think, you know, the BBC will have a very hard time trying to replace Gary Lineker. And I think, you know, over the past few years, there's been always this question with the BBC trying to stifle their stars and limit their stars on what they can tweet. Gary Lineker is a sports presenter. I personally feel like he should be allowed to have his views and to express them about the migrant situation. We have the right who are always giving their views, so why can't Gary Lineker give his views, and why should he be, you know, potentially lose his job, his 1.35 million a year job, just for voicing his views?
I think a lot of the opposition to him is over the price tag you've just quoted there, the fact that that's from public money, and you think we should be divorcing the two, the fee that he's paid and his right to have a view? That's
a question. Gary Lineker cannot stop how much he's being paid. Obviously, the BBC think he's worth that price tag, and sports is a very big industry, and you need someone who's charismatic and knowledgeable like Lineker to be hosting that show. So what he's being paid and his views as a human being, that should be two separate things. I don't think no one should be stifled on their freedom of speech. As an ex-BBC person myself, though, I do know impartiality is one of the things that they drum into us, and I think now as an organisation they just need to have a revamp and be clear to their stars, this is what we expect you to do, and if the stars don't like it, then they should just quit.
Freddie, what do you think?
I think I don't really care about the free speech side of this. I don't think this is some great free speech debate. I think Lineker's biggest problem is that he's disliked by a lot of people because he is quite dislikable. And if anyone follows him on Twitter, he's quite mean. He's quite mean-spirited. He's very showy-offy about his opinions. And he just doesn't come across like a very nice guy. And I also think, as a football presenter...
Gary, not nice!
As a football presenter, I'm going to get in trouble. I don't think he's much good. I think his Qatar speech, which the BBC signed off on, I thought that was a ridiculous introduction to the World Cup. I mean, if you're going to accept that you're covering a World Cup in Qatar and you're actually going to go along with it, if you feel that strongly about it, don't do the World Cup.
Yeah, but Freddie...
but don't then lecture everyone about human rights in Qatar when you didn't in Russia when you covered the World Cup there.
Well, I think it's the broadcasting organisations. You know, I like Gary very much. I think he is very good at what he does. And I think he's been there, he's got the T-shirt for it. But I think it's like companies like ITV who are saying, oh, this is terrible, we shouldn't be doing this World Cup and we're going to show LGBTQ rights and whatever. But we're happy to take all the ads from Coca-Cola, and Budweiser and McDonald's and everything. And I think... You know, put your money where your mouth is, companies. I mean, I think all the companies, the BBC had the ability to say, do you know what, we're not showing this. ITV had the right to say, we're not showing this. But they both said, oh, no, I think we'll take the money or we'll
Freddie,
the coverage.
You know, you say he's not very liked or likeable. I mean, he tweeted yesterday, didn't he, saying, I've never known so much love and support in my life than I'm getting this morning. This was yesterday. England World Cup golds aside, possibly, I will continue to speak up for poor souls that have no voice.
There are definitely people that like Gary Lineker, and he has supporters. He also has a lot of people that find him deeply, deeply annoying.
Well,
but I'm just bitter. I'm bitter.
I think the people who probably legitimately find him the most annoying are those people who used to work in the BBC or currently work in the BBC as news reporters who have to follow the strict rules and wouldn't be permitted to get away with this kind of thing.
But he's not, what's he getting away with? I mean,
expressing opinions.
Well, they are news reporters. There is a difference. Why are you a bitter man?
Because he blocked me on Twitter.
Oh, and why did he block you on Twitter?
He's very eager with the block button on Twitter. And I got into a row with him. I think he suggested one of our pieces was racist, but it wasn't. And I got into a row with him. And, you know, Twitter rows are silly because you get into them and then you think, what am I doing? And then it was quite exciting because obviously Gary Lineker's a very famous, important person and I'm not. And I got sort of carried away. And I didn't say anything too bad, but he hit the block. He hit the block button. So that's probably why I've got this animus
Claim to
against
fame, Freddie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, if it doesn't work out for Gary and the BBC, I think potentially he has a career waiting for him in politics. I'm so team Gary at the moment.
Well, you see, it's interesting because Gary Neville has a career waiting for him in politics.
I don't know about that.
No,
He has been going on.
Rachel Johnson and Gary Lineker were going to cook up a political party, an anti-Brexit political party at one point called Centre Forward.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tell.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I mean, you say he could have a future in politics.
Yeah.
The Labour Party were distancing themselves from his comments. Effectively, Keir Starmer both saying yesterday that they thought his references to Germany were completely inappropriate.
Well,
I'd love Gary Lineker to go into politics.
Yeah.
He would be destroyed.
well, as he said, he wants to speak for the poor souls who have no voice. And sometimes I feel like MPs miss that and they're not speaking or reading the room for the general public. And maybe that's where Gary Lineker can fill in.